Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 219 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 219 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you're here with us this week. I hope that you will stay for a very long time and bring lots of friends. If you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you so much for continuing to rock with me. I wouldn't be able to be on this journey without you. And so I always hope that you stay. Bring friends, share, like, subscribe, and let's just keep going on this party train together. Well, before we get started with this week's episode, for those of you that have listened to me before, you know that I like to set the foundation. It's really important to me because I really treat this podcast, this brand, like a safe space. And I feel like when you're building a space, you have to kind of build it like it's a house. And so I like to make sure that my foundation is strong. So I just want to make sure that we kind of do a little groundwork before we dive into this week's topic. So essentially, in regards to the foundation, my foundation is built on two very important things, and that is clarity and love. Clarity is really straightforward. I built this brand because I believe in the power of women. I believe in sharing our stories authentically because I think that a lot of times we think that there are a lot of things that separate us, and in actuality, there are a lot more things that unite us versus our differences. And so I find, and I made a vow to God that I would share the good and bad of my journey because I want to make sure that people get what I didn't always get, and that people also learn to avoid some of the pitfalls that I've made and maybe be inspired to see that, they have a chance to be a vessel to help someone else do the exact same thing that they're looking for. And we can just continue to grow and evolve together. So like I said, I share my story authentically. And I also love to spotlight other women in the community who are doing great things. And so that's what this is about here. This is about creating a space where we learn, share, heal, grow, laugh, cry, and do it all together without any type of judgment. And then that leads right into my second foundation, which is love, because everything that we do in this podcast is built on love, and this brand is about love. I'm not here to tear anybody down. There's no gatekeeping here as well. Really, like I said, it is truly an authentic place because, like I said, I made a vow to God. I told God that when I was at my lowest point, that if He would help me find my way forward, I would share the good and bad of my journey because I want someone to not make, like I said, the mistakes that I made and to recognize that they can overcome too. So one of the things that I like to do, because I love love, is it's very important for me to share prayers with you every week. I truly do believe in the power of prayer, and I believe that when we pray together, it's magnified. And so I want to kind of get started with standing on the essential prayer that I've been standing on, that I'm probably going to stand on, I think now, until the end of time, because as I have entered into this season of my life, I have recognized that finding peace is essential. So we are standing firmly on the power of peace and finding it. So this week, I really hope that you will give yourself space to be able to just breathe. Take a moment to breathe. Life is still gonna life, but just remember you have the bandwidth to take a moment to breathe. Allow yourself to be regulated and then move forward when you're ready. And along with that prayer of peace, I'm also having a thought of sending you a prayer of joy. I really want you to find moments of joy. Like I said last week, I've started to sing spirituals, old spirituals, to help find pockets of joy. But I have another friend, one of my closest friends, Katie. She is always dancing right now. And so she is finding her joy through dancing. Find your joy through song. Find your joy through your family, but find moments of joy. Life is going to do what it is going to do. There is nothing that you can do at this moment to change it. But the only thing that you can do is remember that you still deserve to be happy. You still have to find moments of joy so that you can be the best version of you for yourself and for the ones that you love. So we are standing on peace. We are standing on joy. And of course, I definitely want to make sure that you are standing on love. I want you to be surrounded in love this week. I want you to have love from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And I know I probably sound like a broken record when I say it, but it's like sometimes you have to. I don't really feel like there's enough love out there. And like I said, loving right now is a very revolutionary thing. So I know it can be kind of tricky, but make sure that you are loving yourself, that you are loving the people that support you, that you are just surrounding yourself in it, that you are exuding it, because you will attract what you bring out. So make love a priority. And then rounding out my prayers, of course, is always going to be abundance. I do want you to be blessed financially, of course, so that you can be a blessing to yourself and to other people. But I really also want you to be abundant in your spirit. I want you again to leverage peace and joy and love, to be full in your spirit, to make moments and memories that are going to sustain you. Don't allow your thoughts of abundance to only focus on the material. Focus on the things that are irreplaceable. Focus on the moments that will carry you through the darkness, that will always bring maybe a tear of happiness or joy to your eye and a song in your heart. We need those things right now. Those things can never be taken away from you. So I pray that you will find that level of abundance, that level of joy, that level of love, and that level of peace. So I am recording today on Saturday, April the 26th. It is now 1:14 p.m. And I really want to thank everyone for their support of last week's episode. Rising Faith. I can't believe I got tongue-tied there. Excuse me. On Resurrection Sunday. I hope everyone had a good Easter and you were able to be surrounded in love and family. But this week I'm back, and it's funny. I've been kind of marinating, or I feel like I've been in this season right now where I've just kind of been allowing God to just kind of impart in me in the direction and ways that I want to go. Because, life is lifing. We all know that. And I've talked a lot about that. Like, we are in a season of like unprecedented times for many of us. Not saying that these times haven't come before, because they have. But for some of us, we've never experienced this level of chaos, as I like to say, or organized chaos, upheaval. It just really depends on how you define it. For some folks, it's just like normal living. But for some of us, it's just this feeling of like everything that we have known has been dismantled. And now we're building up something new, and it doesn't seem like all of us can find our space within it. And this episode, just so I can go ahead and preface it, is not about that, because now I'm just still not there. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But what I do want to talk about is how in these seasons of very hectic times, it is very easy to allow the things that are going on within our life to allow us to feel like God is not going to bless us, or is not blessing us, or has forgotten about us, because we start to feel the weight of our emotions. We start to feel the weight of the pressures that are building on us. But one thing that has sat in my spirit, and I wrote about it actually on Threads, because it just really planted itself in me, is that I had to take a moment to give thanks to God. I had to give thanks to God for blessing me in spite of me. And so I wanted to talk about that. And yes, let me repeat that again. I had to post on Threads because it hit my spirit. I had to thank God for blessing me in spite of me. And I wanted to talk about that because, like I said, the world is doing what it is. It is a lot. You don't even need me to kind of talk about that. But I also want to talk about how, in spite of the world, sometimes some of the things that are happening or not happening within our lives in regards to favors, in regards to things that we're believing God for, are happening because of us, not because of the world. And God is trying to do his best to continue to move and bless us in our life, but we're holding ourselves back because of our fears and doubts. And so I want to talk about it because I've been through those moments, and I've been thinking about it. And like I said, God gave me a moment recently where I had to give him glory and thank him for blessing me in spite of me. And so I wanted to, just kind of come to you and let's have some honest conversation about it, because a lot of time we are sitting in seasons of ourselves, I find, where we are questioning our blessings, or we are questioning our path because we feel like everything is being thrown at us and it's holding us back. And in some instances, we are going through seasons like that. But in a lot of the instances, I think we need to kind of take a moment to ask ourselves, is it life is doing something different, or is it that we are not trusting the path? And when I say that we're not trusting the path, like we are not believing that God is going to bless us. Are we allowing our fears, our doubts, our insecurities, our self-limiting behavior to prevent us from seeing that God is going to come through? Because I'm sure I'm not the only person, but each of us can probably recount a time in life where it seemed like it just wasn't going to work out. I can think of one clearly. I'll be honest, just sitting here as I'm recording and sitting in my house, my home is a season where I didn't think it was going to work out. I truly can tell you that when I started looking for a home many years ago, I've been in my house over 15 years, going on 16 years. So obviously housing market was a little different than what it is now. But let me tell you, when I got back first out here, and I've told y'all before, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but God told me that I was supposed to do it. And I didn't trust it. Like, my credit wasn't together. I barely had any money for the down payment. Like, I was like, how am I going to make this work? But God told me that it was my time. Like, I needed to do this because my life was going to change. And literally, I mean, there's so much more to it. He was trying to prepare me for my situation to be a caregiver and with my mom and my sister. But I wasn't fully able to see that then. I saw bits and pieces of it, and that's a whole nother separate story. But sticking to the matter at hand, like in reference to my home, like literally, I was like, there's no way. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. Had a decent job at that point, and I was working hard to clean things up. And God was definitely guiding me through the process, because I was a first-time home buyer trying to see and figure it out. And I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't have had this house if it wasn't for God. And I've always said that, and I always will stand on it, because I wasn't confident. And literally, I think about this specific house, and don't get me wrong, the home buying journey that I had was totally different. Like, I had put in bids at over 30 homes before I got this home. But when it came to this home in particular, I wouldn't even see it. I would not see this house because it was out of my price range. I had gotten pre-approved from the bank, and I was like, I am only going to get a house that falls significantly under this preset amount that Bank of America gave me, because I was like, there is no way that I am going to be house poor. And for those of you that don't know, house poor is when you buy too much house and you are sitting up in here just barely able to pay the mortgage and trying to survive. I was like, I'm not doing that. And I was like putting myself in the situation where I buy this house, because at the time when the realtor was trying to get to see me, it was out of my price range. It was over my price range. And I was like, I'm not going back to ask for no more money, because again, I am not going to live below my means. Like, I mean, above my means. I couldn't do it. And so we would drive around. The realtor would try to talk to me about it. I was like, no. She's like, just go see it. No, I argued this woman down to the point that one night we went to go look for houses. I got lost trying to get to this house. I was 30, 40 minutes out of the way. And this woman waited for me, and she was like, I want you to see this house. I'm telling you, you got to see this house. She is telling you, God has told me to tell you, this is for you. And the moment that she said that, I got myself together, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna come see this house. And when I saw the house, I instantly fell in love. It had everything I ever wanted in this house. This house was perfection. It was move-in ready. It was beautiful. The gentleman who owned this house, he did everything I ever wanted and then some in my home, and I loved it. It was perfection. And it was so perfect. I was like, I don't know why you've made me see this, because now I want to put a bid on here and I can't afford it. And we actually put in a bid that was less than what he was asking for. And he accepted my bid. Yep, he accepted my bid, y'all. And don't get me wrong, though, it wasn't easy from that point on. But I'm saying to say, like, we still had to go through some things with inspections. Realtors had to put in commission. He wound up paying closing costs. He did everything I could imagine and then some. So what I'm saying to say is that that's an example of how God was able to truly bless me, because nobody else could make those kind of moves happen but him, in spite of me, because I was kicking and screaming and like fussing and yelling, sticking my feet in the sand. I was looking at other houses around it, like in the subdivision. I looked at 2 or 3 other houses in the subdivision, but still refused to look at this house until I felt that shift through her in order to do it. And so I wanted to bring that story up. And obviously there's more into it. We can always talk about that another time. But I wanted to bring that story up as an example of how I have to be grateful. I have to be reminded that God is still blessing me in spite of me. And I wanted to share it with you because I want you to think about right now a moment in your life, because I am sure you have had it just like I did, where God blessed you in spite of you. And so I think it's important to have honest conversations around those moments, because it's not like I was doing everything perfect. I wasn't doing everything perfect. And I want you to understand that this episode is for the people who feel like you are unworthy some reason. You're inconsistent. You're messy. And you have forgotten that in spite of your inconsistency, your messiness, and your feelings of unworthiness, that you are still deeply loved by God. And so I want to talk to you about that, because I want you to understand that sometimes, and I think a lot of it, we should begin with why we feel those uneasy, unworthy, inconsistent, messy feelings. I feel like, and I'm going to say this and hopefully not offend anyone by saying it, but I feel like sometimes a lot of us are navigating through grace and through God's love because we feel like we have to live according to how we were taught, that we had to earn the love and the blessings by being good or holy or put together. And especially as women, like society expects us, Black women especially, to stay strong, to be resilient, to always be on. And little does anyone ever talk about the fact that you can be inconsistent, messy, and still and feel unworthy, but God still loves you. And we need to talk about that, because grace and love allow you to be inconsistent, allow you to be messy, allow you to feel unworthy, because grace is enough. There is covering, and God's favor shows up in spite of all of that. And I just want to say it because I think it needs to be said, because a lot of times, like I said, the world is doing what it's doing and we're worrying about the world. And then on top of we're worrying about the world, worrying about us. We're feeling all the things that we're feeling. And you are not understanding that the world is always going to be where the world is. The things that we are going through have come before, and are coming again, because unfortunately the lessons weren't learned the first time. Nothing can change that. And always remember, though, God knew the beginning and he knows the ending. So if he knows the story, how it starts, how it ends, he's always going to be able to show up, because he knows exactly how things are going to move. And he's going to show up then in spite of all those feelings. So I think we all have to remember that if blessings only came when we had it all together, none of us would be blessed, period. Like, it's literally that simple. If blessings only came when we all had it together, none of us would be blessed. Because I can tell you, I know I don't have it all together. I know you don't all have it all together. Like, this is normal life. God still loves us and shows up in spite of all those things. And let's be real about another thing that I think is also part of why a lot of us forget that God is still blessing us in spite of us, because to doubt and to have fear, that's normal. Yes, even if that means doubting God sometimes. You're human beings. You are human. We're human. And it's okay, because even the most faithful people in the Bible had their moments. And it's not the doubt that disqualifies us. It's not the doubt that's keeping us where we are. It's the feelings that those things are real that's keeping us. And let me say that again, it's not the doubt that disqualifies you. It's not the inconsistencies. It's not the messy moments, but it's when we allow ourselves to stay there and it keeps us stuck. That's what keeps you from moving to your next blessing. God hasn't forgotten about your blessing. Remember, God's word doesn't go out void. But also remember, along with that, we have the power of free choice. God gave us free will. And unfortunately, with that gift of free will and choice, that means that we have the ability to have our thoughts come in where doubt can creep in. Doubt can still move. And I think we have to remember that in those seasons of doubt, you can still move. You can be unsure and still be chosen. You can feel unworthy and still walk into a room where God already has made space for you. And I think what we have to always allow ourselves in those moments of doubt to feel and to remember is that it's okay. I can feel this way right now, but I don't have to feel this way forever. And then you have to also be willing to say to yourself, you know what? I know that I feel this way right now, but I'm going to make sure that I do what is necessary. I do the work. I sit down. I pray. I get therapy. I do what I need to do so that I don't have to stay stuck in here forever. And I want to make sure that I give spiritual reference because, again, I know even now I just threw in therapy and, therapy and faith for some folks is very controversial. I don't know why, because I feel like, God gives certain giftings to people to help other people. So God gave therapists the ability to sit and listen and to counsel and inspire and help you strategize and move through tough situations because he knew that person was equipped with that gift. And so I sometimes wonder why it's so conflicting for people who are more on the, more traditional religious side to have concerns about therapy, because it's not something that's outside of God. Everyone's getting just a chance to lean into their giftings of God. And you know who the right therapist is for you versus the wrong. And you also, again, have the freedom of choice to move through people. But sorry, just kind of stepping on my soapbox about that, because I always find that to be a touchy subject, because I do feel like a lot of times, a lot more people need therapy than what they're willing to admit because they're afraid for some reason that is going to take them off their spiritual path or lead them into something that they shouldn't be in. And no, a lot of times therapy is going to be the one that's going to help open you up so that you can receive, so that you can be poured into even more, because you're not allowing the limiting thoughts, the limiting traumas to hold you back. You are not staying stuck. You are able to move forward and receive more. But I wanted to make sure that we all remember that really God doesn't need a lot from us. Really, all God is looking for is for us to be honest about what we need and to be open to receive him. And I'm going to stand on a spiritual moment there, a scripture reference here. If you think about Mark 9:24, it says, I believe, help my unbelief. So when we come to God and we ask for help, and in the moments of doubt, in the moments of fear, God will answer you. And God will not admonish you for coming to him with fear. God will receive you and help you. And with that, I think comes the next part of all of this, which is it is really important for you to know who you are. And I know I've been talking about that, and to know who God is. And when I say that, what I mean is that, what you believe about yourself, which we all should know, shapes how you respond to favor. And I don't think a lot of people think about that, because it is a powerful, simple truth. What you believe about yourself shapes how you respond to favor. Because if you think you're unworthy, you'll sabotage what's already yours. I mean, seriously, how many times have you in your life let God's favor slip through because you didn't believe you were worthy? It's not that God didn't believe that you were worthy. It's because you didn't believe it. You felt like it was too good to be true. It can't be this easy. Sometimes it is that easy. And yes, it is that good to be true, because God's favor can blow your mind. I mean, really. And then thinking about that, knowing that, and always even remembering who God is to you. Remember, you are chosen, even when you're imperfect. You know what I mean? Knowing that you are chosen, even when you're imperfect, should change everything about how you move through life. Because you should know, remember, God died on the cross for you and me. He died for us all. And it's not that we're perfectly imperfect, but he gave it all so that we could be anew. And knowing that and standing in that and knowing who God is, knowing that God is loving and faithful and gracious, even when you're unsure, those things should keep you grounded. Those should help you. That's why it's so important that you know who you are, because you have to know who you are. You have to understand that God loves you. You have to understand that his faith is enough, that his favor isn't enough, and that it may show up in ways that you don't understand, but that's okay. Because as long as God understands, that's all that matters. And if you really are worried or wondering about it in regards to who you are, there are definitely some scriptures that you can reference. One of my favorites is Jeremiah 1:5. God knew you and still chose you. Yes, God knew you and still chose you. He still loves you. And God knows the deepest areas of us. Like I say, I am totally not perfect. I love God with all of my heart. I am so grateful for everything that God has done, is doing, and will do in my life, and then some. But I am so not perfect. Like I tell y'all, I'm in the world, not of the world. I know some more of the Bible. I'm working on knowing more of it. But I also know Glorilla. I also know Kirk Franklin. I know old spiritual hymns. Like I know a lot, but I still need to know more. I'm not perfect. I don't espouse to be. I'm just human. And I think sometimes we have to give ourselves a lot more grace than what we do. Because sometimes the hardest thing to believe is that you're still loved when you're a little lost. But you are. And that favor is still yours. I really want y'all to think about that. Sometimes the hardest thing to believe is that you're still loved when you're a little lost. But you are. And that favor is still yours. Because we're flawed. God has a track record of dealing with flawed people. He has a track record of dealing with messy people. We're flawed, and that's okay. But we all had big purpose. I mean, let's think about it. David in the Bible had issues, but was still called. Peter, he denied Jesus, but was still trusted. Rahab, labeled by her past, but still part of God's plan. If God used them, he will definitely be able to use you. He can definitely use me. I mean, look at me. I'm sitting here talking to you guys about, how we have to stand in who we are. We have to know who we are. We have to understand that God loves us when we are messy and inconsistent. And I be messy and inconsistent all the time. Yes, I talk to God, but I don't have like the structured prayer life. I would love to say that. I don't. I definitely try to, have my morning intake and definitely pray throughout the day, because I love to just pop up and talk to God at all times during weird moments, or, what some people might call weird moments. I do, because he and I get down like that. That's how I feel like we have these conversations. Me and Jesus, we roll like that. We have honest conversations, and God accepts me for myself. I don't come to him all, in a certain way. I come to God honestly in just my truest, most authentic self, because I'm not afraid, because I know the favor is not fair for some folks, but it's fair for me. And you know what? I have seen God's light in me. I have seen how God has been able to bless me in spite of me. Just sitting here on this podcast, being able to talk to you right now is a prime example of God blessing me in spite of me. Because I've told y'all before, it took me over 10 years just to get to the point where I could sit down and have a conversation with you. And I am now 219 episodes deep. I couldn't imagine being this way without God's favor. And God still poured into me. He still kept pressing on me. He sent my friend Katie to press on me at that key moment in time. And he made sure that it started. And I am thankful that I had that, because look at where I am now. Putting that event on last year, the reset, let me tell you, God was still blessing me in spite of me. I didn't have that all mapped out together. I mapped that out over a weekend trip. And I put that together, and I still press forward with the dream, knowing that this was going to be hard, knowing that this was going to be expensive, knowing that this was going to be very audacious and bold. I went boldly with the vision because God told me to make it so, and it was able to come to pass. And yes, I struggled. Yes, I cried. Yes, I lost a lot during that time, but God still brought it to pass. He still blessed me. I think about it as it relates to my love. And I haven't even really thought about telling the full context of that story. But God blessed me with him in spite of me. Because I wasn't even trying to hear it at first. But God used my friend again to talk me through it. She had to. She and another friend, my friend Kathleen, they sat down and talked to me for about 2 hours to convince me to reach out to this man. I had every excuse in the book why not to do it. But I did it, and look at us now. And I love him more than anything in this world. And I can't imagine him not being around in my life. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. God will bless you in spite of you. And when I say all of those things, don't get me wrong, life was still doing its big one. Life was still doing its big one. I mean, during my event, my brother died unexpectedly, and I had to take care of that. During with my relationship, my love and I are long distance, and we have gone through a lot of different trials, health challenges, all different kinds of things, but we are solid. And I am blessed. So what I'm saying is sometimes it's not always life. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's you holding yourself back from the blessing. Sometimes it's you, and you got to get real with yourself because life is going to keep doing what it's going to do. I would love to sit up here and tell you that this season of life that we're in is going to end like that. That is not true. We are now, like I said earlier, in an unprecedented season, and this is going to probably be the norm for quite some time. And actually, the norm, really, who knows what the norm is going to be yet? Because I feel like things are being rewritten, reshaped. But one thing that will remain unshaken, that will remain if we allow it, if we don't doubt it, is God. And when I say that, if we don't doubt it, if we don't allow our doubt, our fears, our limited behavior to stop us from living the life that God is trying to do. Because even in the mess, God will still bless you. And it doesn't matter that you don't have the perfect prayer life. It doesn't matter that you don't read the Bible every day. It doesn't matter that you might be in the club still. It's okay if you're still in the club. I ain't judging you. Nobody's judging you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay if you are still being perfected. If you are still healing, if you are still growing, that doesn't mean that God doesn't love you in the growing season. That's when he loves you more. So what I'm saying to you is, I think this is a time for us to take a beat and to remember who we are. Because again, you have to choose. You have to be sure. You have to remember that you are worthy. And that it's okay to doubt, but just don't let your doubt let you stay stuck, like we talked about earlier. Because again, like we spoke about Mark 9:24, I believe, help my unbelief. Let that be the thing. You have to be open and honest, and God will meet you right where you are. And that's okay. And don't let anybody make you feel like that's not okay, because you're enough. And don't sabotage because you feel like you're not enough. Get the help that you need so that you can work on those thoughts, those feelings, those behaviors, and learn how to surrender them so that you can receive them. Because we all know, or we should know, God is loving, faithful, and gracious, even when we're unsure. And let that keep you grounded. So I wanted to, like I said, kind of talk about it because I want you to stop doubting yourself. I want you to stop second guessing or just straight up avoiding what you've been called to do, because it's time to dead that. God's favor is not fragile. It's not. Your doubt is not going to break God. So don't allow the doubt to break you. You don't have to be confident to be called. You just need to believe that enough to know that what's already yours is yours. What's for you is for you. And even adding an extra point about how, like, my love, like I wasn't, even open to talking to him or whatever. if I think about it, it's even more of a blessing because this was 30 plus years in the making. Because I met him for the first time we met the first time in college when we were 19. And it was love at first sight, but we were just both awkward and didn't know how to talk to each other. And we let life get in the way. And so we lost each other. But look at God, because remember, his word doesn't go out void. 30 plus years later, via TikTok of all things, we get a chance to reconnect and look at how God has brought us together now. So what I'm saying to you is, again, never give up. Never believe that your time won't come. Never believe that your season won't be. Never believe that you have to be perfect to be blessed. Because remember, his love of us is not fragile. You're okay. It's going to be okay. It's just come to him honestly and open and ready to receive, and he will bless you. So I hope that you are encouraged, because I know right now some of y'all may not feel ready, but God is already moving on your behalf. So surrender and allow the fears to fall away so that you can step into the blessing that he has for you. And I pray that this will help you and give you the strength to remember that you are still being blessed no matter what, in spite of you. So that is this week's episode. Again, like I said, I really hope that it encourages you on the journey to remember that no matter what the world has going on, you are still being blessed. Don't lose sight of those blessings, because you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be filled. And his word doesn't go out void except the favor. Because you deserve it. You are worthy, even in your inconsistent, messy selves. Because, honey, I'm inconsistent and messy, and God has still been good over here too. So he's going to be good to you too. So again, this is this week's episode. I hope it gives you some strength and encouragement. I'm praying for you. I'm believing for you. I'm believing for us all. It's a beautiful season coming. And we deserve it, or we are actually already in it. Let me not even say coming. It's already here, and we just have to stand in it and be blessed. So I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe. I will have all of my information in the show notes. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions, you want to chat, talk, or be on the pod, because I know it's been a while since I've had some guests. But guests are coming. I'm starting to get back into that route. So I'd love a chance to talk with you. And I actually have a series or two that I think I'm going to probably start kind of doing a little bit of test to see where everybody's interests lie. But I think it's time to do a series. I have two thoughts, actually, one on adulting, because I feel like we're all in this season of epic adulting, because I'm not going to lie. At 50, adulting at this level is, I'm not even going to pretend. I think when you hit like 40 and up, it's like a whole new level of adulting. It's like Jumanji level adulting. So I want to talk about that and talk about how I can possibly, provide resources to support you. And then I do want to have an obviously good conversation, hopefully on love, because yes, I'm in love. I'm very deeply in love. But I want to talk about love in this time. How revolutionary it is, and how love progresses during the years, during the ages. So we'll see where everybody leans, but I definitely think it's a good conversation. Don't get me wrong. I am not Lateris Whitfield or any of that. I don't know if I can give good advice on, how to find love, but just spotlight maybe other relationships, other levels of love, so that are from all angles. And because I think it is, like I said, very revolutionary to love in times like this, but it is very important, especially as we aspire also to build community, because I think love is at the root of a lot of community, but that's a whole nother conversation. So we'll see which one it leans to. But yes, I think I probably will start sharing. But if you have any thoughts, again, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email me at thewelldonelife@gmail.com or at hello@thewelldonelife.com as well. And I'll have all of that in the show notes too. I definitely want to thank you guys for your time. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday and ease into the week. And I hope you will take care of yourselves and each other. And we will talk again soon. Bye-bye.